Hello, and welcome to Gentle and Clear English. Here, you will have great experiences with real stories in a clear, slow, and educational way about everyday life in America and around the world. So, enjoy, relax, and learn. In today's story, we are going to explore one of the most serious questions in the world right now. A question that could change the future of the United States, and possibly the future of the entire world. Not what would happen if four powerful nations, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, decided to work together against the United States and its allies? Is this just an idea, or is it becoming a reality? And why are military experts, political leaders, and intelligence agencies around the world deeply concerned about this possibility? This is not a science fiction movie. This is not just a theory. This is a real situation that is developing step by step right now in front of our eyes. To understand how we got here, we need to look back at history. After World War II, the world was divided into two main powers. On one side, there was the United States and its allies, countries like the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, Canada, Australia, and many others. These countries believed in democracy, capitalism, and global cooperation. They built alliances like NATO, the European Union, and organizations like the United Nations, the World Bank, and the IMF to support economic growth, security, and peace. On the other side, there was the Soviet Union, along with communist countries like China, North Korea, Cuba, and others. The Cold War between these two sides lasted for almost 50 years. It was a period of high tension, nuclear threats, proxy wars, and constant competition for global influence. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the United States became the world's only superpower. For a time, it seemed like the era of big global conflicts was over. Many believed that democracy and free markets would eventually spread across the entire planet. But that is not what happened. Over the past 2 decades, some countries became more authoritarian, more nationalistic, and more aggressive in challenging the influence of the United States and its allies. Today, 4 of the most powerful of these nations, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, are forming closer relationships. They are cooperating in ways that were unthinkable just a few years ago. They are sharing military technology, intelligence, energy resources, financial systems, and even political strategies. They are helping each other survive Western sanctions, avoid international pressure, and push back against the global order that was created after World War II, an order led by the United States. Let's look at each country in detail. Russia. Once a superpower as the Soviet Union, Russia has spent the last 2 decades trying to rebuild its power and influence. In 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, a war that shocked the world. The United States and Europe responded with heavy sanctions, cutting Russia off from global banking systems, trade, and technology. But Russia did not collapse. Instead, it turned to new friends, especially China, Iran, and North Korea. Russia has sold oil, gas, and weapons to China. It has bought drones, missiles, and military equipment from Iran and North Korea. It has allowed North Korean workers to help in Russian factories, building weapons for the war in Ukraine. At the same time, Russia has held joint military exercises with China in the Pacific, showing that their militaries are learning to work together. China. China is the second largest economy in the world and is growing its military power at an incredible speed. China's main goal is to take control of Taiwan, a democratic island that China claims as its territory. For the United States, defending Taiwan has become one of the top military priorities. At the same time, China and the United States are in a dangerous technological war. The U.S. is blocking China from accessing advanced computer chips, artificial intelligence technologies, and sensitive industries. China is responding by developing its own technologies and building stronger ties with Russia, Iran, and North Korea. China buys oil and gas from Russia. It trades with Iran despite U.S. sanctions. And it supports North Korea diplomatically and economically, helping the regime survive. In return, China gets military support, intelligence sharing, and more influence in key regions like the Middle East and Central Asia. Iran's main goal is to dominate the Middle East and to remove U.S. influence from the region. For decades, Iran has been in conflict with the United States and its allies, especially Israel and Saudi Arabia. Iran supports proxy groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and militia groups in Iraq and Syria. In 2025, the situation became even more dangerous. Iran and Israel started attacking each other directly, not just through proxies, but through missile strikes and drone attacks. The United States, which has military bases across the Middle East, was forced to prepare for the possibility of a much larger war. At the same time, Iran supplies weapons to Russia, including drones used in Ukraine. Iran also receives help from China to develop better satellite and missile technologies. And in 2025, Iran and Russia signed a military cooperation agreement. That includes sharing naval bases and air defense systems. North Korea. North Korea is the most isolated country in the world, but it is also one of the most dangerous. The regime has developed nuclear weapons, long-range missiles, and cyberattack capabilities. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, has threatened both the United States and its allies in Asia, including South Korea and Japan. In recent years, North Korea has provided millions of artillery shells to Russia for the war in Ukraine. In exchange, North Korea has received food, fuel, technology, and possibly military assistance. North Korean scientists have been seen working in Russian missile factories. There are also reports that North Korea is receiving advanced satellite technology from China, which would give it better intelligence and missile guidance capabilities. Together, what does this alliance mean? Imagine the United States trying to defend Taiwan from a Chinese invasion, at the same time trying to support Ukraine against Russia, at the same time protecting Israel and Saudi Arabia from Iranian missile attacks, and at the same time preventing North Korea from attacking South Korea or Japan. This would be the first time since World War II that the United States would face the risk of fighting multiple major wars in different parts of the world. At the same time, this is called a multi-front war, and military experts say this is the greatest danger America has faced in decades. Asterisk, the U.S. military is powerful, but it is not unlimited. Aircraft carriers, fighter jets, submarines, troops, tanks, and missiles cannot be everywhere at the same time. There is also the economic side. Wars are incredibly expensive. If the U.S. had to fight in Europe, the Middle East, and the Pacific at the same time, the cost could be trillions of dollars. It could cause inflation, higher taxes, and economic instability not only in the United States, but around the world. Global trade would be disrupted. Shipping routes in the Red Sea, the South China Sea, and the Strait of Hormuz could be blocked. This would increase prices for energy, food, and goods everywhere. And there's the technological war. Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea are all developing new weapons, including hypersonic missiles, AI-powered drones, cyber weapons, and even space-based weapons. The technological race is now as important as the military one. The U.S. and its allies are also investing heavily in these technologies. But if the alliance between these four countries continues to grow, it could accelerate the arms race and make the world even more dangerous. Is there any hope? Yes, these four countries are not natural friends. They cooperate because they share a common enemy, the United States and the Western world. But they do not fully trust each other. China and Russia have competing interests in Central Asia. Iran's religious government is very different from the atheist communist governments of China and North Korea. North Korea is unpredictable and often acts without consulting anyone. Also, all four countries have internal problems. Russia's economy is weak because of sanctions. China's economy has slowed down and faces serious debt problems. Iran struggles with protests and political unrest. North Korea depends on foreign aid to survive. In conclusion, the idea of Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea forming a strong alliance against the United States is not just theory. It is something that is already happening, step by step. That it does not mean that a world war will start tomorrow. But it does mean that the risk of conflict is higher than it has been in decades. The challenge for the United States and for the world is to avoid turning this dangerous competition into a catastrophic war. Diplomacy, communication, smart strategy, and international cooperation are more important now than ever before. And that is the story of the dangerous alliance. What happens if Iran, Russia, China, and North Korea join forces?